Hello everybody, Ellie here for WhoCulture. You lucky lot you, 2 tidbit videos in 1 week. What? Crazy. Obviously we did do a news tidbit video on Monday, but a few more things have been announced in this week and I didn't want to wait another week to tell you about them. So as usual there will be some timestamps so you can jump around, and those of you who keep complaining about Strictly Watch, you'll be happy to know that there's not been another episode of Strictly yet, so I won't be talking about that today, but rest assured it'll be back next week. Just for you who doesn't like it. So the first thing that happened pretty much as soon as I'd finished recording Monday's video, as is usually the case for me. My relationship with the BBC is pretty much that. I'll say I don't know something, I'll say something definitive, and then 5 minutes later the BBC will contradict it. Woohoo! But we had some new images released from the war between the land and the sea. Firstly, we have another close-up image of the new Sea Devil design. I did mention this in a previous video, but I really like this new design. I think I did speak again in this previous video about how I was a little bit concerned about how, knowing that the war between the land and the sea is going to be a much darker, perhaps more serious tone than Doctor Who itself, and knowing what the Sea Devils looked like, I was a little bit concerned that there would be a bit of a contradiction going on there, because they do look a little bit fake and silly in comparison to other creatures that we've seen, especially then when we think about something like Torchwood. The monsters, for the most part, had to be a little bit more scary, a little bit more serious. So I was wondering where they were going to go with the design of the Sea Devils. Obviously we have seen images of Salt, the character played by Gugu Mbatha-Raw, and she has a completely different look. And so there are questions about whether we've got a Silurian situation where they have masks and they look like Salt beneath those masks, or if Salt is a completely different story, if there is a storyline revolving around the fact that she looks different to the rest of them. But if we take a look at these other Sea Devils, I really like this design because it does stay true to that original Sea Devil design, but it just takes away those more comical elements and just refines it to make them look like more sinister creatures rather than maybe a little bit laughable. Then we have the other image that was released, and let me tell you, I was really excited about this. I feel as though I may be the only person who actually is all for Kate and Colonel Ibrahim, aka Colonel Sexy, being an item. I feel like most people are against it, and I can see why. I hear your reasonings. I'm still here for it. I don't know what it is. I think it's the vibe. I think a lot of people have this issue with the power balance, with her being his boss. Part of that is why I like it. It's different. I obviously don't want there to be any kind of like exploiting going on in terms of positions of power and all of those things. I get that. But just in terms of the dynamic between the female boss and her number one, I like this, right? Okay, don't come at me. I'm allowed to like it. And this image of the two of them sat together, it's a very close moment. He's holding her hand. I'm totally here for it. What I really do hope, though, in this spin-off, and again, I did mention this in a previous video as well, is that I'm hoping we get a deeper exploration of them as characters, as people. Obviously, because they are secondary characters in Doctor Who. You know, the focus in Doctor Who is the Doctor, the companion. So although we do see lots of Kate, Colonel Sexy, we have all of this going on, we don't know a lot about these characters beyond the surface level of what they are in the scene as required. So what I'm really hoping we're going to see, and hopefully this sort of image kind of tells us that we are going to get those quieter moments, is that we're going to explore a little bit more of them as characters, as people. What are their stories? What are their lives like? What's going on behind the scenes for these people? And this image to me hopefully tells me that we're going to get some of that kind of, those quieter moments, those more character-driven moments. Also, just, I can't stop looking at it. It's just the way he's looking at her. Get all giggly. I feel like we need a ship name for them. You know, I was thinking, is it like Kate Brahim? Kibrahim? Help me out here. We need a ship name for Kate and Ibrahim. Help me out here. Comments. Ship name for this pair, if there's anyone else out there who actually ships them, because I can't be the only one, surely. Okay, let's move on to the next tidbit. Paul McGann is rumoured to be in the 2026 Christmas special. Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. Wouldn't it be great? Do we think it's really happening? So here's the thing, right? Here's why people think this. Because Paul McGann was originally set to appear at Gallifrey 1 at the Doctor Who convention next year. He's now had to pull out because of filming schedules conflicting with the dates of the convention. People have taken that because he is filming early next year and people will assume that the Christmas special will be also filming around that time, that he must be unavailable because he is filming the Doctor Who Christmas special, and apparently he was recently spotted at Bad Wolf Studios. Okay, I see why people have jumped to this conclusion. But he's a working actor. He could be in anything, and I'm sorry to have to debunk this, but there's a new Luther movie that was just announced literally yesterday, and it starts shooting next February, and Paul McGann plays a character in the Lutherverse named Mark North. So I would probably place my bets on that being what he's filming as opposed to Doctor Who. But we can still live in hope, although I have it on pretty good authority that this is not happening. Great as it would be, Paul McGann, I do not think will be in the 2026 Christmas special. But we can still, we'll live in that land of hope. I mean, the thing is, of all the Doctors to reappear, he would be a good one to reappear. We haven't actually had that much from him. So it would be lovely. I think if that were the case, maybe a spin-off would be the way to go. Let's not add more complications to this Christmas special. There's already a lot of things that need to be answered and tied up in this Christmas special. Adding Paul McGann in there is just going to give you more questions. But it would be great at some point one day to see Paul McGann return properly and have a proper storyline. That would be good. I'm sure lots of you have seen The Ponds are back. Sort of. Technically, they're not actually back. But Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill are reuniting for a podcast called The Pondcast. Good play on words there. Basically, where they're going to talk about Doctor Who and their time filming Doctor Who. Now, there's no release date for it yet. There's not much more information other than that at the moment. But they have recorded several episodes already. And they have had Stephen Moffat as a guest on the podcast already. Very exciting. The first question is, what other guests are they going to have? You would hope they would have Matt Smith on there at some point. That would make a lot of sense to have him as a guest. I'm really hoping you can't have a podcast with Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill called The Pondcast and not have Alex Kingston. Seriously, she must have been a guest. If they haven't already had her, they surely will. The Pondcast without Melody Pond. I mean, come on. That's going to be exciting. It would be exciting. We do seem to be in a time where kind of rewatch podcasts with cast members from old shows, or not even old shows, but just cast members from previous seasons and things of different TV shows come together for a discussion in a podcast. I mean, there's plenty of them. I listened to a Star Trek one, a Star Trek Voyager one called The Delta Flyers with Robert Duncan McNeil and Garrett Wong, who both starred in Star Trek Voyager. Lockdown is the cause of a lot of these. It's the source, the core reason why these exist. They had a lot of time on their hands. They went, you know what? Let's rewatch the episodes and talk about our experiences and what we remember, get some guests. I would recommend that one if you are a Star Trek fan or a Star Trek Voyager fan. They are now actually doing Deep Space Nine as well, so they've done all of Voyager, then now moved on to Deep Space Nine, and they have Armin Shimmerman, Terry Farrell. Listen to that one. But there's plenty of others. There's a Scrubs one. I think it's Fake Doctors, Real Friends with Zach Braff and Donald Faison, who talk about Scrubs. The thing is, I think there are a lot of people jumping now thinking, oh, does this mean that Amy and Rory are going to be back in Doctor Who because they're closer to the show now and they're doing this podcast about it, and that must mean that eventually they're going to return? I think it means that they've had enough time now to be able to look back on it with fond memories and have enough distance from it to be able to talk about it. Now, I'm not saying it's completely unheard of. The Scrubs one happened, and now they're making more Scrubs. So never say never. It would be great to see Amy and Rory back at some point. I don't think now is the right time for that. I mean, I'll keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. We need to move on with some new stories. But, you know, maybe. And the thing is as well is that the Doctor Who tweet-alongs is the reason that we had David Tennant and Catherine Tate back and Russell T Davies back. So, again, there is precedent for these sorts of things to lead somewhere. But for right now, I think it's just great that they're going to come together, reminisce about their times, tell hopefully untold stories, and for us to hear about what it was like for them, hear those behind-the-scenes stories, and kind of get that chemistry that they obviously had together back again in a conversation with guests, hopefully Alex Kingston. Surely they've got to have her. Surely with Matt Smith, with other cast and crew members that they would have worked with across their time on Doctor Who, I think is really exciting. And I think podcasts are a great way to do it. Podcasts are a thing of the 2020s, you know. Since COVID, podcasts are a big thing. So I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it and learning when it's going to be released. So yeah, there you have it. A few more tidbits since Monday. I'm hoping and praying that there's going to be even more by the time we come to next week's video on Monday. Strictly Watch will be back, of course. Very exciting. Please let me know your ship names for Kate and Ibrahim in the comments down below, please. I need some suggestions. In the meantime, I've been Ellie for WhoCulture, and in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.